But have you ever wondered what the oldest contraceptive methods were? Since time immemorial, women have sought ways to prevent unwanted pregnancies. Without the scientific knowledge or technology we have today, our ancestors resorted to homemade and experimental methods. Some were rudimentary, others dangerous, but all reflect a constant concern for birth control. In this article, we will take a journey through time to explore the 10 most curious and ancient contraceptive methods used throughout history. If you're interested in learning how our ancestors tried to avoid conception, stay with us. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe now so you don't miss any important content about the darkest chapters of our history. Acacia honey, an Egyptian solution. One of the oldest contraceptive methods we know of comes from ancient Egypt. Records dating back to 1850 BC show how Egyptian women combined natural ingredients to prevent conception. They mixed honey, acacia fruit, and some leaves to create a natural spermicide. The method consisted of soaking cotton or plant fibers in the mixture and then inserting them into the vagina before intercourse. The idea was that fermented acacia released lactic acid, a substance capable of killing sperm. This method, although somewhat rudimentary, was considered effective at the time and reflected the empirical knowledge women had about the properties of certain plants. Excrement, crocodile and elephant. Another less hygienic and definitely stranger Egyptian contraceptive method was the use of crocodile dung. In Egypt and Mesopotamia, women mixed this dung with other ingredients to form a kind of pessary that they would then insert into the vagina to block the passage of sperm. Curiously, in ancient India, elephant feces were also used for a similar purpose. Despite how unhygienic this method may seem, its goal was to create a hostile environment in the vaginal tract to prevent fertilization. Today, it is unclear how effective this method was, but it undoubtedly reflects the determination of women to avoid pregnancies. The use of heavy metals, mercury, lead, and arsenic. One of the most dangerous methods used to avoid pregnancy in ancient times was the use of heavy metals. Civilizations such as the Egyptian, Greek, Chinese, and Syrian relied on substances like mercury, lead, and arsenic. These substances were either ingested or applied in liquid form to prevent conception. While these heavy metals did indeed alter the reproductive system and prevent pregnancy, they also caused countless health problems. Prolonged exposure to mercury and lead led to brain damage, kidney failure, respiratory failure, and even death. It is incredible how the need for contraception led people to take such high risks. Silphium, a valuable plant in ancient Rome and Greece. One of the most prized plants for preventing pregnancy was silphium. This plant, which belonged to the fennel family, was used in two ways: as an oral contraceptive and as a pessary. Women soaked cotton in silphium juice and inserted it into the vagina before sexual intercourse. The plant became such a valuable resource that its price surpassed that of silver. In fact, silphium was so coveted that it was even used as a currency. Unfortunately, due to overexploitation, silphium went extinct, and women had to turn to less effective alternatives, like asafoetida, though this latter also had toxic effects in high doses. Herbal plugs and sponges. Barrier contraceptives. Ancient civilizations also resorted to barrier methods similar in concept to modern intrauterine devices. In Greece, Rome, and other cultures, women used small stones, sea sponges, or plugs of herbs soaked in natural solutions to function as a plug in the cervix, blocking sperm from entering. These methods were rudimentary but relied on the function of acting as a physical barrier. Hippocrates, considered the father of medicine, also recommended the use of salted water with copper as an effective solution to prevent pregnancies. These practices reflect a clear understanding of the barrier concept of contraception, although the materials used were very different from those of today. Vaginal douches. Prevention or risk. Vaginal douches were a popular contraceptive method for centuries. In ancient Rome, for instance, women used douches with seawater, vinegar, and lemon juice after intercourse. The purpose of these douches was to eliminate any semen residue and prevent fertilization. However, such techniques were not exclusive to antiquity. Until the early 20th century, many women still resorted to vaginal douches with toxic substances like disinfectants. These attempts to prevent pregnancies were ineffective and extremely dangerous. There were numerous cases of poisoning and even deaths due to the use of unsuitable chemical agents. An acidic method. The use of lemon. The use of lemon as a contraceptive method has a long history. It was believed that the citric acid in lemons had spermicidal properties. Women soaked sponges or pieces of cloth in lemon juice and inserted them into the vagina before sexual intercourse. The lemon acted as both a chemical and physical barrier and supposedly helped block sperm from entering the cervix. According to legend, the famous Venetian seducer Casanova used half a lemon as a cervical cap for his sexual partners. He inflated the lemon to check for any cracks and ensure it served its purpose. Although this method might have had some degree of effectiveness, the risks of irritation and internal damage were high. Olive oil and cedar oil. Recommendations from Aristotle. The philosopher Aristotle also left his mark on the history of contraceptives. According to his recommendations, women could use a mixture of olive oil and cedar oil to prevent pregnancy. Olive oil was believed to affect sperm mobility, giving women time to perform a vaginal douche and reduce the chances of conception. Although we have no modern scientific evidence to support the effectiveness of this method, it does show how ancient philosophers and doctors explored various options to address the need to regulate birth. Wild carrot. An agent against fertility. Another plant commonly used as a contraceptive was wild carrot. The seeds of this plant, also known as Queen Anne's lace, were used as an oral contraceptive. Hippocrates mentioned wild carrot as an effective method of fertility regulation. It was said that the seeds altered the synthesis of the hormone progesterone, preventing the implantation of the egg. In the 18th century, condoms began to be sold in specialized shops in London, reflecting society's growing concern about birth control and protection against diseases. Throughout history, the need to avoid unwanted pregnancies led women and their partners to experiment with a wide variety of contraceptive methods. From using plants like silphium and wild carrot to dangerous substances like mercury and lead, and even barrier methods with unusual materials such as sea sponges, crocodile dung, and herbal plugs, it is clear that creativity and determination to control fertility have been constants in human history. These ancient methods remind us of the importance of education and access to safe contraceptive methods today. Today, we have modern contraceptives that are effective and safe, not putting women's health at risk. The history of contraceptives teaches us how far we have come in terms of safety and knowledge, and reminds us how important it is to ensure that everyone has access to reliable and safe methods to decide about their own reproduction. If you've made it this far, you've already learned something new with our stories. Subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Together we can discover and remember the truths that history often tries to hide.